We're here today to talk about resilience. And oftentimes when we think of resilience and resilient people, we think of those people who demonstrate a certain amount of grit, a certain amount of strength. So we think of superheroes out there fighting crime and impervious to all of these bad things that are happening in the world. Well, the good thing is we don't have to be superheroes. The good thing is that resilience is a process that we can learn from. So the American Psychological Association defines resilience as a process. So it's not an event. It's a series of events by which we can adapt and we can learn. And then the outcome is we come through it on the other end, a different person. We come through it stronger. We come through it more resilient. So that's a positive thing. The positive thing is that this is something that we can learn, that we don't have to be born with it. It's not a one-time thing that we either have or don't have. So that's a positive thing. So what are some of these factors that we're talking about when we talk about resilience? These things that we maybe want to focus on or think about that contribute to this process of resilience. So things like our thoughts. So what type of agency or control do we have over our own thoughts? Do we understand our thoughts? Do we know where they're coming from? Are we practicing gratitude? What is our perception of events? How are we perceiving them? Are we perceiving them in an optimistic way, or are we perceiving them in a negative way? Our feelings. So our emotions all serve some sort of purpose. Do we have an emotional intelligence around why we're feeling the way we're feeling, and what does that mean, and how does that resonate in our life? Do we have a regulation over those emotions? Can we understand and control our emotions, or do our emotions control us? There's our behaviors. So what are the things that we're doing in our lives that either contribute to our strength and resilience or are taking away from our strength and resilience? Then there's our physicality, so the physical piece. So are we being active as we're able to be active? What are we putting in our body? Are we sick? Is that draining on our resilience? Are we looking after our nervous system? So are we practicing mindfulness in some sort of meaningful way? Then there's our environment. So those are the people, places, and things that are around us that we can change, we can manipulate, that we can react to, that maybe we can make those changes through this process in order to contribute to our resilience. So what resilience is not. It's not avoidance. So all of our feelings, all of our emotions serve some sort of innate function in us. By avoiding them, it serves as a form of negative reinforcement. So in behaviorism, any behavior that we do, anything that we do that we get rewarded for, we're going to do it again, whether it's good for us or not so good for us. So by avoiding feelings, that becomes a form of negative reinforcement. We're getting rid of those negative feelings by avoiding it. But we are supposed to feel them. We are supposed to go through this process, learn to regulate our emotions, learn to understand our emotions, learn to see the meaning in things, and then come out that other side stronger. Otherwise, as we know, if we don't feel those feelings, we don't go through that process of understanding and learning to regulate and seeing the meaning behind these emotions, then it can lead to burnout, it can lead to more significant problems and a decreased resilience down the road. The other thing resilience is not is toxic positivity. So optimism is good. It's a resilience resource. We want to be optimistic. It's healthy to see the world in a positive way and to look at events in a positive way. But the problem is, as we know, not everything is good, and some things are very tragic. So it's important for us to grieve and to go through that process and to look at the meaning in whatever this situation is. So one of my favorite books, Viktor Frankl, Man's Search for Meaning, he says, suffering ceases to become suffering once you see the meaning in it. So if we're always seeing things in this very optimistic, positive way without realizing that, yeah, this isn't great and I need to learn from this and I need to grieve and process this, we're robbing ourselves of that opportunity to grow and become more resilient. So in talking about resilience, and so how do we stay strong? How do we become stronger? So when we're going through these adverse times, what are some resources that we can draw upon? What are some things that we can consider or examine or take in or use to help us come out the other side of these adverse situations with more resilience? So Dr. Michael Ungar has identified 12 resilience resources. So these are things that we can use, that we can pay attention to, and we can understand that will help us develop resilience in times we're not facing adversity, and then use them in those times that we know that we're facing adversity to help us with that adaptive process to come out the other end stronger, more resilient, and face whatever that stressful event is in a healthier way. One of these resources is structure. So having structure in your life, having routine, having somebody or something counting on you when times are tough and times seem chaotic, knowing that there's a structure, knowing that there is this accountability to someone or something will help us get through that adverse time. Another resource is relationships. So whether that be intimate relationships with somebody you can be vulnerable with, it's also social relationships, it's also somebody you can have fun with, somebody you can confide in. It's all of every type of social relationship you can think of. And the thing is not one person is likely going to fulfill all of these roles. So there's a great book by Tom Rath called Vital Friends, which helps you assess, what am I getting from my social relationship? So who's fulfilling what roles? Who is my confidant? Who is my professional confidant or mentor? Who is a person I can be vulnerable with? So assessing your relationships, seeing what fulfills you from all of these relationships is important in our resilience. Another resource is identity. Knowing who you are, knowing what you believe in, knowing yourself in all aspects of life is important. A Canadian psychologist, James Marsh, has studied this and talks about it as identity achievement. So once we've reached identity achievement, so we've gone through an exploratory process that he calls identity moratorium, and we've tried different things and we've looked at the world in different ways. Then once we reach identity achievement, there's a peace in that. There's a peace in knowing who you are, and there's a strength and resilience that comes from knowing what you believe in and who you are. The other part of that is being able to express that in a safe space with others who share your values and your beliefs. So knowing who you are, having that safe space to practice who you are and to be who you are and to feel safe and secure is a resilience resource that can help you be stronger. Spirituality. So spirituality in whatever form you wish to practice it. So whether it be from walking on the beach and enjoying nature, walking in the woods and being amazed by all those things around you, to being part of an organized religion and getting that ritual and that structure and that social benefits from being part of that group. Also, our physical well-being, being physically active as we are able. We know that has great benefits to our neurotransmitters. So there's the physical side of it. So in serotonin and dopamine, it also relates to setting goals and in some cases being social with others who are sharing the physical activity with you. And with this, we also don't want to forget about looking after our nervous system. So in today's technology-heavy world, our nervous systems are under more stimuli than ever in history. So taking the time to practice mindfulness, whether it be from meditation, learning to play guitar, knitting, whatever works for you, to be focused on something, as we call that divergent mindfulness or divergent mindfulness, which is not focusing on anything at all or focusing on everything. So if you're hyper-focused during your workday, it may feel good just to look at the world, a big picture, or to take a walk in the woods and notice everything around you.